Okay, who do we want to talk
Like-
about next? Do you want to go through the starters?
I want to start by talking about Paldean Wooper.
Specifically Rooper
Because-
or Clodsire?
Specifically Wooper. Specifically Wooper.
Why Rooper?
Because it's the easiest one to place. It's top of S tier.
Okay.
I don't feel like there's any discussion that we need to have here.
Fair enough. It's there.
It's simply going to rule the metagame. Everyone knows why.
Okay,
Yeah,
do we want to talk about the starters now?
Yeah.
Okay, so Meowscarada is sad because its ability got nerfed.
Yeah, Protean is not as good as it was before. That said, it's still quite decent.
So,
And-
like, I haven't seen people talking about exactly what it means by only working once per battle, but my assumption is that if you use a
No,
grass
it's
or dark
only
type...
once per switch in.
Once per switch in, yeah. My assumption is that if you use a grass or a dark type move, your type doesn't change, so therefore Protean
Yeah.
doesn't proc. But then as soon as you use a different type move, you become that type, and then you're stuck that type. Is my
I
assumption.
imagine that's going to be how it works. The good thing for Meowscarada about that is that it gets U-turn,
Yep.
which is just a great move in general.
Yeah, it gets U-turn, especially when you're like randomly getting stab on it when you're not a bug type. Not being a
Yeah.
bug type and getting stab on U-turn is nice.
Did they just like literally say, what if Greninja but physical attacker? Because I'm seeing spikes and toxic spikes in this moveset. What are you doing here?
But I don't know.
Why are you here?
They just want to make singles players happy.
Yeah, probably.
But what we should point
Get
out...
Pollen Puff
Um,
on top of like...
well, I think the important move to talk about is Flower Trick.
Absolutely. 100%. Also, it gets Ally Swing. Stop this.
Yep, they just were like, sorry we
What if
nerfed
we could
Libero.
make Meowscarada
Let's
as
do-
annoying as possible?
Yeah.
I think someone said in the boardroom.
Well, this thing has Wicked Blow as a grass type move.
Yeah.
And you
random
can't
grass
miss.
type Wicked Blow. It's almost the same base power.
This thing
even.
gets knockoff.
Yeah.
This thing gets
Yeah.
knockoff. Why does this thing get knockoff?
Why does this thing get anything that it does?
This
Honestly-
Pokemon cheats, right?
This Pokemon definitely would steal your wallet and pretend to not know anything. Like, why did they give this every move in the game? I'm just looking at the moves that
I
it gets.
think
and
it gets like every type
why-
like obviously it gets every type coverage with Terastallize,
Yes.
but like this thing gets Sucker Punch as well.
Yes.
Just so you
yes,
know.
it does.
But-
It gets Play Rough for Fairy. Let's see. Low Kick for fighting. Acrobatics for flying. Obviously, it gets Dark and Grass.
hmm
It gets normal coverage because everything gets normal
Yeah.
coverage.
And then Bug, and then like
Also-
you can also just like
Yeah.
randomly Terra Blast plus Libero. Like
Shadow Claw, Thunder Punch.
yep. Yeah, no, this thing can basically
Mud Slap for some reason.
hit whatever it wants for stab super effective.
It gets Chilling Water.
Does it really? I
Yeah.
mean, I
Who
don't
knows why?
necessarily think that's going to
But,
see
like-
much play on
Yeah,
this,
I
but,
mean,
like,
it's definitely not going to see much play because it's a special attack. But even still, this thing's special attack is not unusable. It's still 81, even if it's a physical attacker.
yeah.
Like,
yeah,
if you really,
I'm-
really needed the coverage, you could run it. You could run a special.
I
move.
think you're just
If it's
going
a
to
good
see this
enough special.
Pokemon.
Yeah, this is just going to be good. Like, there's no other way to put it.
We tossing this in
Going to
S
be
or A?
good. Is it going to be, like, actually broken because of the moveset, or is it just going to be very good because of the moveset? That's hard to judge ahead of time.
Yeah.
I'm leaning on the side of actually broken because it gets things like...
I think the fact that this thing is a dual type as opposed to like
Yeah, if
Cinderace,
it were pure grass,
yeah, I think it would be
then-
worse actually.
yeah.
Like, yes, you're
it
weak
would
to
be
Bug,
significantly worse.
but like I'm just thinking about Cinderace because Cinderace got the same nerf, and I think Cinderace is way worse off with the nerf being a single type that
Yeah,
like
because it only
very
has...
usually switch types multiple times during the battle to just, like avoid super effective moves.
And Meowscarada, I think the biggest thing about Meowscarada that makes me hesitate to put it in S tier, even though it's got everything else going for it, is that you do want to change up your weaknesses as Meowscarada. You do want to change your type, because you have 7 weaknesses, and one of them is a quad.
Yeah, but this thing is
Grass-
just fast
grass
enough to
type.
like it's 123 base speed. It can switch its type if it
fast
needs
enough.
to.
that if it needs to, it can switch its type, but the problem is it always needs to switch its type because one of the opposing Pokemon will always have one of those 7 types of coverage.
I think this is just going to be a Focus Sash Pokemon, and you just, like, don't care.
Honestly, that is entirely possible. I could 100% see this being a Sash.
I think that, like, this is just another Urshifu that doesn't ignore Protect.
What's it going to be? Knockoff, Flower Trick.
I mean, knockoff, Flower Trick, U-turn.
Yeah, U-turn +1, whatever coverage you need.
Yep.
Maybe
like,
you don't want coverage.
You could just run Sucker Punch.
Yeah, you could just run Sucker. That's always good.
Like, I could also just see people running this Pokemon with Overgrow and just being, like, Focus Sash with Overgrow and just running Flower Trick, Sucker Punch, Knockoff, Protect, and just, like, being content to get knocked down to Focus Sash and then just have Overgrow boosted Flower Trick.
Yeah, I could see Trailblaze being used as well, potentially. Like, it's fast, but everything in this meta is going to be fast.
Yeah.
And half of those are going to be Scarf, so...
Yeah, I think I'm willing to put this in S tier. I think it's just flexible enough that the difference between a Libero set and, like, just a Focus Sash set not caring about switching its type is, like, going to throw your opponent off enough.
I think it's definitely, if it's S tier, it's bottom of S tier, but if it's A tier, it's top of A tier. So I'm comfortable with it being S tier for certain.
Okay, so Skeledirge, which gets Unaware.
I haven't actually looked at this thing's moveset like I have Meowscarada.
So the thing is its signature move, Torch Song, is an 80 base power attack that boosts its special attack.
So literally just better Fiery Dance.
And it gets Unaware, so it ignores your opponent's defense boosts.
And
this thing is bulky, yeah.
104, 175? Like, that's bulk. Special attacking Fire Ghost.
Yeah, and you, like, have... what, 5 weaknesses? But you also get the
Fire
immunities
Ghost.
from Ghost type. Like, I think the typing is just fine.
How many weaknesses do you have? You have Water, Ground, Rock, Ghost, Dark. Yeah, 5.
And this thing gets Will-O-Wisp.
Like, they've given it all of the good moves. They've given it Flamethrower, Fire Blast, Overheat, whatever you need for your calcs.
Yep.
You've got Shadow Ball, you've got Hex Will-O-Wisp, you've got Snarl if you want.
Yeah, Snarl's pretty huge.
Most of the coverage that I'm seeing, though, is physical moves.
Yeah.
It does get Earth Power, though.
Ooh, yeah,
Power
that's
is
good.
nice coverage.
Yeah, I think...
And being a fully evolved fire type, of course, it has Solar Beam.
Yep, Solar Beam, and it also gets Slack Off, which is interesting.
I mean, if you want to call Belch a coverage move, you can.
Yeah, I think this is a Pokemon that's going to really benefit from whatever its Terra type is.
Yes.
Because I feel like being able to just Torch Song and then Terra whatever type you need when your opponent, like, inevitably switches in to try to counter this thing after you've boosted.
Yeah. What's a good Terra type for this thing? Like, Terra normal even, maybe.
So your Fire Ghost... I mean, what are you not hitting already with those two?
Fire Ghost is just really great offensive type. Like, I'm going to plug it into the coverage calculator. Water Darks, Rock Darks, Fire Darks, Dragon Dark. And
Dark types that resist fire is, like, what you're not hitting.
And normal types that resist fire.
Yeah. Like, just Ghost has very good coverage. So I think, like, your Terra type is mostly going to hit for super effective on something.
If you want to hit all of those things for super effective, they're all dark or normal types. So you just
go fighting? Yeah. Terra fighting, then you resist dark.
Yeah.
You resist rock.
You're like neutral to the other 3 weaknesses.
Yeah, I think Terra fighting could be interesting on this.
Yeah, for sure.
But also it's just like whatever the meta is, just like pick the best Pokemon in the meta and just hit that for super effective. Yeah, I think this is like B tier.
Yeah.
I think it will see niche play. I think it will be a late format
faster,
Pokemon.
If it were faster, it would be better.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be a late format Pokemon where you can like really tailor the calcs to like live everything and then just Terra type to one-shot stuff.
Yes. This is a Pokemon that once the meta settles, it will be much better. But at the very start, at least, it's going to be hurting for its lack of speed because every team on the entire ladder will be hyper offense.
Yep. And then next up we got Quaquaval, which is somehow worse furry bait than Meowscarada. Water fighting Moxie.
My twin sent me a meme earlier today.
And this thing's signature move, Aqua Step boosts its speed stat.
Yeah, here's the meme. Now that we've gone over all three starters, Sprigatito is quadrupedal, becomes bipedal. Fuecoco is bipedal, becomes quadrupedal. And Quaxley is bipedal, becomes bisexual.
Okay, then.
My twin is also bi, so this is just...
I just hate the thing. I hate that this is a bird with human legs.
Why does it need human legs? It does not.
And have you seen the like idle animation for this Pokemon? Like in a battle?
No, and I hope never to. Unfortunately, my Australian friend has picked this as a starter.
It is.
So I will eventually see it.
It like just sits there and shakes its ass.
No, please no.
Well, it's like it like does this. It's like doing this dance, but it really just looks like it's shaking its ass.
Okay, I'm looking at the move set here because the stats there's nothing special to talk about. Like it's base 120 attack, but that is literally it.
Base 120 attack and its signature move boosts its speed, which combined with Moxie is very interesting.
Yes, Aqua Step, Close Combat, Brave Bird, +1.
Does this thing have any coverage? Oh, it gets Ice Spinner.
It gets flying coverage.
Yeah.
Which
flying
doesn't look like coverage because it's a duck, but it is coverage. It has U-turn.
Yep.
Because what didn't they give U-turn?
Gets Baton Pass, but like, if this thing has boosts, you're just wanting to keep this thing out to get more boosts. You're not wanting to Baton Pass them.
I mean, unless you're Baton Passing into a very specific mon.
It gets Roost, but this thing does not have the stats for a bulky, I just want to spam Roost.
Yeah, Aqua Step is good. It gets Wave Crash too, again, for a more powerful one.
Yeah, I just feel like, I'm just like not impressed by this.
It's a very meh Pokemon. It's a Pokemon that if it were faster would be really interesting, and it does have the move to raise its speed, but it just doesn't have the bulk to back it up.
Yeah, it feels so much like Inteleon, where it's just, it has reasonable things going for it, but it's just like not good enough.
Where it does differ from Inteleon is a couple of key things. One, it's slow. So that's a negative point. 2, it's a physical attacker, so that's a second negative point.
Yeah.
But the big positive point for it is that it does have a second stab.
Yep.
And if you're going to use an offensive mon, you would rather have 2 stabs than 1.
Yep.
And you would much rather have Moxie than Sniper.
Yeah, I think it's just bottom of B or like C tier, honestly.
I don't think it's quite bad enough to be C tier, but it's definitely middle to bottom of B. It's a Pokemon that could be made to work, but it is not a Pokemon that I expect to like act